Hi, I'm Saswata Basu. I'm the founder of 0chain. What is 0chain? We are a fast, free, and flexible decentralized cloud for any dApps on any blockchain, whether you're on Neo or Ethereum or Stellar. We can be an extensible platform for the existing chains. And we're solving the scalability problem. So let me go through these three features that we have: the fast, free, and flexible. So what do I mean by fast? Well, we have a protocol, we call it 2D BPOS. It's two-dimensional Byzantine proof of stake, which is basically a delegate proof of stake and a Byzantine condition on top of it. As you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin is a probabilistic finality, where Byzantine is a deterministic finality. So by adding the Byzantine condition, we make the finality faster. Now, 2D aspect of it is the two-dimensional. Now, with the 2D aspect of our protocol, we add a layer of security and speed. So a block generator cannot get DDoS. Like a delegate proof of stake, you have a single block generator. In our case, you can have multiple. And after the block is generated, we have a number of verifiers verifying the block in a Byzantine manner. So they collect signatures and able to verify the blocks. That's how we get subsequent finality. Now I want to talk about the flexible part. The flexible part of our decentralized cloud is that we can self-fork from our main chain. Any dApp can self-fork from our main chain and create their own chain. Now, why is that important? Because different vertical applications have different needs. An IoT app, I come from the IoT background, so I want a sub-second finality for my application. But an AI app may want a longer block time. They may want 2-3 minutes of their block time to complete the computing. In fact, in our IoT application, we had IoT data that goes to the cloud, and then we apply AI on the data and provide notification to the user. So you kind of need like 2-3 chains. So in our case, we have an AI chain. You could make an AI chain for an app. And another application would be a bank break chain. How do you do a bank break chain? Well, you have more decentralization. That's one way. So we're flexible end by end set. So you can have 10 by 10 miners or 100 by 100 miners. So you can choose the amount of decentralization you want, and you can choose the consensus level. Maybe you want more than majority signatures. You want 8% signatures, we can provide that for you. And it's all configurable. It's not customized. You don't have to. We basically take the technology away. We decouple the technology for the dApp so that they can focus on the protocols and protocols for their customer needs rather than on the infrastructure. And that's where most of the applications are bogged down. So that's basically the flexible part. In fact, we announced, actually Livetree announced their partnership for their video application. So we provide storage, guaranteed storage. We are the only ones that can provide fast, guaranteed storage, unlike some of the other protocols that are out there. The third part is the free. How do we, what do you mean by free? Well, what do we mean by free is that when you go to the bank, you hold you deposit tokens or fiat currency, and you get free service. And that's how our business model is. So when you come to our platform as a dApp, you hold our tokens, or as a user, you hold our tokens and you get free storage and compute service. And so our wallet will have not only transactions, but also you can upload images. In fact, that will be the first application that we'll do on the testnet. So now how do we make it free? Well, one of the things we did was, as you look at Ethereum, the miner does everything, right? They mine, they store the block, they store data. So we divided it into 3 parts. So we have miners, we have sharders that store blocks. So the miners generate and verify blocks. And we have blobbers that store unstructured data like video files, audio files, or images. By separating these parts out, then infrastructure cost goes down for the miners. And the miners bid their infrastructure in fiat currency, so you want to make sure the miner economics work in their favor, so they're guaranteed return. And the token buyers are happy because they want low inflation. In fact, we have an inflation protocol on top of it to basically act like Federal Reserve, self-correct in a more efficient way, self-correct the token economics so that we ensure it's 1% inflation. Now, some of the other protocols, as you look at Ethereum, Bitcoin, they started with very high inflation and now has kind of tapered down to like 5%. In our case, we'll start off with 1% inflation, and it'll be basically a self-correcting mechanism. So those are the three features, and for dApps and blockchains, they would like to. We have actually quite a few partnerships that we're going to announce soon for dApps as well as blockchain. So for them, it's actually nothing to lose because even if you're on the Stellar platform or EOS platform, they can partner with us. And yeah, as I said, one size doesn't fit all. In our case, you can create a configurable chain that fits your needs and be able to raise money on any platform, whether you're on Stellar. And that's what we're seeing that's happening with our partnerships.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. Yeah, sure. So just try to get my head around this thing, right? So what you're trying to solve is that the key thing is like to increase the scalability of blockchains, right? Within your platform, correct?
Yes. So actually, I didn't talk about that. The scalability part. So I talked about the fast part, sub-second finality. The scalability part, we are doing two ways. One, we have parallel threads on each chain, so parallel computing. So we can do million transactions if you want to.
Yeah,
but I think what will happen is probably not going to need to, because we will give each dApp their own chain.
Okay.
And so it will be infinitely scalable in that fashion. And I think most dApps won't require that much parallel computing, because the more we do, we have that requirement, then the miner infrastructure cost will go up. So we want to kind of balance how much parallel computing core should we have on the miner infrastructure.
Right.
And the other thing I want to point out is we have an enterprise-grade quality, because that's another reason. When I started as an IoT app, there wasn't a blockchain that can give me enterprise-grade finality, and that's what we are building. So we will have basically colos globally, they'll be connected to dark fiber, and we will have very high, low latency between networks.
So the second part of the question is, so in order to get this scalability right, so I assume you'll have like a off-chain transaction processes, right? Because otherwise it's going to take time, right?
No. So we are the off-chain solution
okay.
for Ethereum. Yeah.
Okay.
So we are the blockchain. The traditional off-chain solution is either you do it on AWS,
exactly, yeah,
which is centralized, or Lightning or other network, which is still a centralized solution. It's not verifiable proof. Now we want a blockchain that's verifiable, so you have an complete audit trail of a transaction. Or you can be like, the other way people are doing it is blockless, like Stellar and IOTA, right? Where you kind of prune the blocks, so that way you can save time and
yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
Everything says they are fast. They're faster than others. But how to do it faster than others, and why?
That's right. So that's our protocol, the 2D BPOS protocol. It's two-dimensional Byzantine proof of stake. What we do is basically when you generate a block, first of all, the block time. So you can choose your block time. If your block time is short, then you have more time you can do a faster finality. Of course, if your block time is like 1 minute, then you're not going to be able to faster. So you choose the block times. In our case, we're choosing 300 milliseconds block time, and it would be verifiable for the next time slot. So, and then finality in the third time slot.
Actually, everyone knows that, but how could they do that fast than you?
I'm sorry, what?
I mean, your competitors.
Yeah.
Everyone said you're faster than others, but how could they faster than you? They know the result, they know the theory. Yeah, they know the answer. How do they do it faster than you?
Right. So the way we're doing the miner selection is we will select miners that have low latency, and we shuffle the miners such that we will have low latency as it goes around the globe. So yeah, so that's how. We are still having decentralization. It's a dynamic decentralization as to be a static decentralization, which is on Ethereum and Bitcoin. But you're decreasing the latency between the networks, because you can stipulate that when you do a miner selection in your miner selection algorithm. Again, that's configurable. So if you want a decentralization where you want sub-second finality but decentralized, then your network will be closer globally. So let's say you're in Oregon and New York as opposed to Oregon and China. Does that make sense?
And does that compromise security?
Well, it depends what you configure it. So you cannot have everything. You have to select what your application needs. If you think that having 2 data centers that are within the same region, or let's say you choose New York, Ireland, which is a different continent, then that may be good enough for most applications, because you're decentralized. Again, I mean, the servers are decentralized in the sense that different miners own this different equipment.
Wouldn't miner selection inherently introduce centralization into 0chain, right? So if you had people that split off their own blockchain and you had specific miners and you would select and work on those, wouldn't that be centralized, right, by you?
Well, we're shuffling the miners, so the miner doesn't stay in that. So we have an active set, so we have an M by N active set, and then we have a bench miner, and it's shuffled randomly, and it cannot. You really have to collude. You need to have at least 51% majority, just like any blockchain, whether you're Ethereum or Bitcoin. If you own 51% of the miner, then it's game over.
Would the miners be able to see how large the group they are in is the current group that they're in? Right?
Well,
because then they would be able to write that the 51% attack will be a lot more risky if that were the case. Right. So if you're selecting miners for specific groups.
Yeah, so we will have a miner selection process. We haven't decided on how it will be. You could design your chain to be permissioned. You can design it to be permissioned on the server, on the miner side, as well as on the client side. But our main chain will be public chain, and we will have a miner selection algorithm that may go through some KYC process.
Thank you. Just for the record, that was very nitpicky. So.
And in general, I think I agree with Sun Jian, and my main concern is still about competition, because I have seen quite a number of solutions in this direction. I'm advising 2 of them. So there are a lot of, it's basically competing for the same space and say who will be the first and get it right, and all the features the others, the miners need, you can provide that. So I think it's really a competition of speed and quality. And what's your timeline? Yeah.
Right. So a couple of things I want to add. Yes, speed and scalability has been the question. What we're doing something different is flexibility. We are offering dApps to configure their own chain for their own needs, and that can be a differentiating element for that particular dApp when they compete with other dApps in the same vertical. So in that sense, and we provide storage. It's not just competing platform, we provide free storage. And that's very attractive. You cannot beat that. And there's nothing to lose. I mean, it's free. You can take your assets away. In terms of timeline, we planning on doing a testnet on May, which will be an alpha, and then August timeframe will be the beta, and then November is when we do the main.
Thank you very much. Round of applause again.